Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to HDI's Customer Service Week webinar series, Day 3. Today's HDI webcast is Coaching for Customer Service with Mary Cruse. I'm Roy Atkinson, and I'll be your moderator today. We just have a few minute announcements before we begin. If you experience any difficulty with the webinar itself, you can get help by clicking on the green question mark at the bottom of your screen. You can participate in the Q&A session by asking questions at any time during the webcast. Click on the red QA button and just type your question in, and then click on the Submit button. At this time, we recommend that you disable your pop-up blockers because we will have one pop-up during the webinar. To chat with others who are attending today, click on the group chat button at the bottom right of your screen. We love having you exchange ideas during the webinar. The slides will advance automatically throughout the event. And you may also download a copy of the slides by clicking on the Additional Resources button at the bottom of your screen. It looks like a little open folder. In addition, you can contact our technical support helpline if you're having trouble, and that's located in the webcast help guide. Remember that today's webinar will be available on demand after about 24 hours, and you will receive an email reminder to let you know that it is available. And remember that you can always connect with HDI on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and at HDI Connect, where you can read a blog, ask a question, or find a solution. I'd love to have you interact with us. Today's webinar is being presented by Mary Cruse, as I mentioned. She's a great friend of HDI who has served in many roles. She's a Chair Emeritus of the HDI Member Advisory Board and a Member Emeritus of the HDI Strategic Advisory Board. Director of IT Customer Services at First American Title, Mary is passionate about customer service, to say the least. She's led teams from Fortune 500 companies for more than 25 years in the airline, financial, healthcare, and hospitality industries. She has an extensive experience in leading both technical and non-technical customer service centers with expertise in all aspects of team building and performance management, as well as service center design and technology, workflow definitions and design, metrics, SLA design and implementation. Mary's primary responsibilities at First American Title include leading the service desk, desktop support, executive support, and the depot fulfillment teams, covering employees globally. Mary carries HCI certifications of Support Center Analyst, Support Center Manager, and Certified Training Instructor, as well as the CIAC Call Center Operations Manager certification. That's some serious credentials there, Mary. Thank you so much for being with us today. It's all yours.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today. How is everybody? Happy Customer Service Week. I have to tell you, I love Customer Service Week. I found out about Customer Service Week many years ago, and I've made an effort of celebrating Customer Service Week wherever I have been. Because you know what? I want to tell you something that y'all already know. What we do is really hard. You know, at Customer Service Week, wouldn't we like to just gather up our team and take them all out to lunch? And we have so many people that are just raising their arm going, yeah, we can't wait to take your calls so all you guys can go out to lunch. Not, because they know what we do is so hard. So thank you all very much for being with us today in celebration of customer service. So let's talk a little bit about where we're going to go today with this coaching for customer service. I look at coaching, when we coach our teams, as a service that we do for our teams. So we're going to talk about coaching as a customer service, and then about the message of customer service being what we're going to be coaching. So it's kind of a dual message that you'll be hearing as we go through our conversation today. And so hear that and kind of connect with that as we go through our conversation today. So let's dive in. When we look at our team as leaders, as team leads, we are looking for the best possible team. We're looking for a dream team. What does that dream team look like? What would a dream team be? Well, let's talk about that. A dream customer service team would be a team that you could expect to handle anything in an expert fashion. They make anyone that they talk to feel like that customer is the most important person in that customer service agent's life. They're the only focus of what's going on, and even the most frustrated customer is handled smoothly. They're put at ease. You rarely get an escalation of a frustrated customer because your dream team can handle it. And here's the other thing, too, about your dream team. They know that the word customer is a 360-degree word. They know that everyone they come in contact with is a customer, whether it's the teammate that sits next to them, you as their leader, the person who's on the phone, the person in another department, the person who works the mailroom, everybody is their customer, and that's how they see customer service. This is your dream team, right? So how do we get there? And we're going to talk about coaching to that service message. And sometimes we're asked, okay, well, how would you describe what customer service is to you? And there's a term that is used so much today, and that term is world class. And I have to tell you that I've heard world class for a while, almost to the point where it's cliche. It's lost its meaning to me. I don't know how you all feel about it. But it's lost its meaning in that I don't know what world class is. I really don't. I mean, I get that it's top of the line or high standard, but if I were to reach out and try and touch world class, I'm not really sure what that means. So I'm going to share with you a story. I was in a customer service summit, and there was a gentleman, and gosh, I feel so bad that I can't remember this gentleman's name, and I hope someday I come across him again because I talk about him all the time. This gentleman is in healthcare, and he was talking about his customer service team and how he has described what the customer service is that he wants his team to deliver. And he has a phrase that he uses to describe customer service, and here's that phrase: strikingly impressive customer service. And I really connected with that phrase. It's an emotionally charged phrase. It really gives me a feeling. I can feel that. Can you feel that? Can you feel what strikingly impressive customer service feels like? I can. And so I've brought that into my service team. This is the kind of service we're driving for. So I encourage you to think about that. How would you pick emotionally charged words to tell your team what kind of service you'd like for them to deliver? Because it helps you to be able to tell them what the goal looks like. Coaching is something that we do to serve our teams, and as we're coaching them to the service we're wanting to deliver, it's how we keep those employees engaged. If you go out on the internet and you look at what does it take to have good employees doing customer service, one of the things that you can search for, one of the phrases you can use is happy employees deliver excellent service, because this is something we've heard for a very long time in the industry. Happy employees deliver excellent service. Forbes talks about it in an article that they wrote in March, and it has some pretty well-known, consistent information in there. If you've not read an article like that, it's a good article to take a look at. As I looked at some additional articles that I've referenced here, Phaseware had an interesting comment that's very thought-provoking. Customers don't want to be the victim of an unhappy customer service agent. Well, think about that. Can you imagine, you may have seen it in call monitoring that you've done. What was that like when the team member on your team was having a bad day and the customer that they ran into had to deal with your customer service agent not being in a good place. They were irritable. They were frustrated. Something didn't work out for them, and it bled into that conversation. Sorry, I've got some dinging going on in the background here. The service that they came into with your customer service agent wasn't very good. It kind of bled over. How about the next point that Provide Support blog had a comment about, and that reflects on us a little bit. Do you want happy customers? Start by making your employees happier, and it has a whole series of steps that we can do. So take a look at point number 5. If you want to have good and happy employees, choose the right managers. Okay, well, that's a reflection on us as leaders, and this is kind of a sensitive one for us to look at ourselves, but it's important to do that, and that's why we're all here, right? We're all trying to learn. Truly great managers are leaders displaying emotional stability, enthusiasm, and self-assurance. When our teams look at us, is this what they see? Do we portray ourselves in a way that they can have confidence in us? That they can feel like, okay, no matter what happens, it's going to be okay because I know that Bill is at the helm and he's going to make it all work out. He really likes what he does. He supports us. He knows what's going on. He's never going to fly off the handle. I don't have to worry about how he's going to react to something. It's going to be fine. So consider that. These are some great articles to take a look at, and certainly go out on the internet and just do it. Put this in your search engine and look for that. You'll find some really interesting information. So as we talk about today, we're going to take the combination of coaching, which is how we engage with our employees. We show them that we care about them, and this keeps them in a very happy, engaged place. And we deliver that message about customer service. So we're going to combine the coaching and the customer service message, and we're going to do it in that 360 kind of way because you know what? All of us are involved in this customer service piece. And that's really important to keep in mind. We're all part of this. It's not just the front line. It's all of us. So let's talk about how that works. As a leader in the customer service organization specifically, there's probably other ways that this applies for sure. Let's talk about where we are. To ask our teams to deliver customer service, we need to set the example. If we're setting the example, what we're doing is being a servant leader. So what does that mean to be a servant leader? Well, let's take a look. To be a servant leader, take a look at this guy. I don't know that I would call him a servant leader. I'm just thinking that he's not really in that servant leader kind of place. In fact, I'm thinking that he has successfully ticked off virtually everyone with whom he's come in contact. Whether he meant to or not, I'm thinking he's kind of focused on something other than the people around him, and he's just really not been in a good place. What a great way to show that. This is totally not what we want to be, right, team? This is not where we want to go. Where we want to go is we want to show our employees that they are our customers. They are the people that we are looking to serve. We want to portray, show the example, lead by example of the service that we want them to deliver and show them what that looks like. If everyone shows those customer service values and shows them in everything that we do, that makes that experience so that people can see the examples, they can then do the examples in what they're doing and delivering. It's a great way to get that customer service happening everywhere, as well as delivering that message that everyone is a customer. I had a wonderful opportunity about a year and a half ago to experience an introduction to what the Disney Institute does for customer service training. And one of the biggest messages that they delivered was that everything matters. Now, don't let that be overwhelming, but let that be thought-provoking. Everything matters. The littlest thing matters. Recognition, a kind word, encouragement, coaching, remembering a birthday, everything matters. It shows that you're servicing your team. You offer them service, being aware of where they want to go, offering them guidance, being there a little bit early on a day that's going to be really hard. These are all things that show our team that they are our customers and we care. So that's what's important. And so consider that as we are talking about customer service and being that service leader. So when you're thinking about what service looks like and being that coach, let's talk about what success is going to look like as we start to want to coach to customer service. You need to have a vision of what success looks like. What does a successful team look like for your organization, and what is that vision of success for you? Hang on a second. Let's move past this. We just talked about that. So, coaching starts with a vision of success. You need to know where it is you want to take your team. Now, coaching isn't exclusively in a sporting environment. Look at these teams. These are all teams. They all have passion. And sometimes it's not always about winning an award. Sometimes it's just about making the basket. Sometimes it's just about getting it done. What is your vision? Where is it you want to take your team? Have that vision and then move forward. Once you have your vision, it's time for you to start coaching. So let's talk about what it means to be that successful coach. How do you, as a person, deliver that coaching activity? When you're a coach, let me just take a pause for a second. There's a difference between being a coach and a counselor. As we talk about the performance management process, right, there is coaching, counseling, verbal, written, final warning, terminate. Okay, so that's kind of the path of working with a team member through the performance management process. Coaching is that very beginning. So often that step gets missed because we're in such a hurry to get the performance addressed. That coaching piece is so important because of everything we're talking about today. We need to offer that service to our team. And that's what coaching does. It engages them. And so as a successful coach, think about the people that have coached you. We've all had coaches in different ways. They could be teachers. They could actually be sports coaches. They could be people who are life coaches. They could be people who have come to contact you in lots of different ways. Can you connect with these different skills and characteristics of those coaches and agree, shaking your head up and down, saying, yeah, I can see where they had that? And look at listening skills. Was that coach a good listener, asking you lots of questions? So tell me how that worked out for you. How did you feel? What are you thinking? Is there an opportunity to change that? Would you like to change that? Asking lots of questions and giving you the opportunity to kind of work through it. And that's what we do as coaches. Listening, being positive, being encouraging, making sure that we don't get pulled into the emotional frustration of the person. Looking for ways to steer that frustration the person has, steer that negative emotion into a positive. Bringing out the best in that person. Looking for a way to show them the investment from your heart. You care about your team members, and the coach really, really shows that. You've got to have a solid foundation of knowledge to start, though. We really, really need to know that you know what you're talking about. Now, do you need to know how to get down to the detailed level of fixing a technical issue? Ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about customer service. You do need to know customer service. In your job, you absolutely need to know customer service. We can have lots of philosophical conversations about whether you need to know how to fix the technical issue, but I will tell you with all confidence and passion, you absolutely need to know customer service. You need to know how to deal with those difficult situations. You need to know how to encourage someone to ask questions from a customer who doesn't really want to answer those questions. We need to be able to coach our team on how to get through that. So that's important, because here's where it becomes the pinnacle of what a good coach is. You have credibility because you know what you're talking about and you know what you're doing. You have compassion because you care. You care enough about that person to spend time with them, to encourage them, to build them up, to get them so that they are in a place where they're better at what they do, because they're important to you. And you're delivering service to them. They are your customer. And these are the things that bring you into that place of being a successful coach. So let's dig into some of these competencies and talk about specifically how these coaching activities work, and then we're going to talk about the customer service messages that you would deliver in that coaching. Listening is really important in the coaching part of the conversation. Asking questions, which I just gave you some examples of that. Sitting down with somebody, how did that situation go? Tell me what worked for you. And I really encourage you to always start with the positive. Call monitoring is really an important coaching experience. It is not a thing where every time you're going to go over a call monitoring with somebody, they know they've been called to your desk because they did something wrong. Take that opportunity to have them go over the things that went right in that phone call. What was great? What did you hear in that call that you want to give them accolades for that they didn't recognize? Let them hear the positives, because they'll forget to tell you those. That's the part you don't hear. When you ask them what went great in that call, they don't tell you some of that stuff. Give them a chance to not say that, and then you have the opportunity to tell them wonderful things. It's a great experience. Have you given up on somebody? Come on. We're all human. You all just had a person you pictured in your mind. I just know it. Now you're all smiling. I can feel it. There are times when we have people on our team where we feel like, oh gosh, I don't know how to deal with this person anymore. I don't know how to get through to them. I've tried it from 16 different directions. I don't know how to make the connection. It's real. It happens. It's okay. Find somebody who can make that connection. Maybe there's a different person who can coach them. That would be great. Give them a fresh approach, a new connection, a different relationship, and that's going to help that person. The fact that you care enough to find them a different coach, score, that's wonderful. Long-term development's where we're going. There's short-term gains, short-term losses, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but keep your eye on the prize. Know that they're going to get there. Now, if they're taking 1 step forward and 3 steps back, that's a different presentation. That's a different conversation altogether. We're not on that today. We're talking about people who are making progress, okay? And as you're working through with them, you may find a person who, gosh, you're thinking they're not going to do this. Oh, I know that you're just a really, really experienced guy. Okay, I'll tell you what. Frank, you don't have to look in the KB because I just know that you know everything. But I'll tell you what, Frank, don't tell anybody that I said you don't have to look in the KB. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you said don't tell anybody, you just made it so that everybody on your team now knows. Just saying. There's no secrets. Come on, y'all know this. There are no secrets with our team. As soon as we say don't tell, that means like go tell the first person that you see, because they're going to go say, okay, now don't tell anybody I told you this, but, okay, and then that's how it gets, okay, you know how this works. All right, so be consistent. It's the same for everybody. The team will respect you because you're consistent. That makes you fair. That makes you dependable. That makes you so they know what to expect from you. That's the best way to serve people. Don't you want to give consistent service to your customers? I'm just saying, you want to give consistent service to your customers. Your team is your customer, right? You get it. I know. I can feel it. Okay. Improvement is always possible. Have you got somebody on your team that, especially, this is really great for team leads too, you feel like you can't really coach that person anymore. They know as much as you do. Cool. Who's the next person that can coach them? Let's get them to the next person. They're going to love you for this. You care enough to find somebody else who can coach them. I've already talked about this once. Let's help these people know that you care about them as customers and you're going to get them to the next person. And keep those conversations going. Consistent communication, consistent activity, regular interaction tells them you care. This is what gets you the success. They know that you know they can do it. Keep meeting with them. Keep talking. We've talked about setting an example. Be accountable. Are you asking somebody to do something that you don't necessarily do very well? Be the first one in the conversation who says that. You know, I have trouble doing this sometimes too. And here's what I do to make it better. Team leads, this is a great example. Because you're going to get people that are going to say to you, well, why are you making me do this? Because you don't do this either, right? So this is a great opportunity for you to be able to say, you're right. And this is the thing. I've got a couple things I'm doing, and they've worked for me a little bit. I'm still working on it. So I can totally relate to where you sit. It helps you relate to them and being human. It's okay to be human. We've already talked about that. Be human makes you a better leader. There are times when you have to deliver messages that are a little hard. Caringly candid. Be caring. Be sensitive. Be sure how you want to deliver the message, but you're delivering it in a coaching way. Doing that tells them that you really care about making them a better person in their job, making them a better performer in their job. They'll respect you for it, and it improves your credibility. Doing it in a caring way is critical. That's what makes it constructive criticism. So sometimes you have to practice this, and it's always good to find somebody on your team, another manager. HR can be super helpful with this stuff. HR can be really helpful as a place where you can go to do some role play. Help me practice this because I need to deliver this information. They can be great. Lastly, it's important to remember that everybody on your team should be involved in coaching. Don't just pick the players that are weak. Coach everybody, and that is your key to success. So as we go back to the idea of everybody in that circle is involved in the coaching and involved in the customer service, the point here is that the messages start to get passed down through the organization, and these are the messages we're going to talk about. And as we're coaching from level to level, one of the things that is interesting is everybody's real busy watching the other people, right? So, okay, so my manager's telling me this, my manager's telling me that. However, what are they really doing? And so again, remember, setting the example is really important. So let's dive into what those messages are and talk about how we can coach to those messages and take the opportunity to exemplify the customer service that we really want our team to deliver holistically all across the organization and be the customer service professionals we know we can be. So I'm going to start with this communication set, and then it's the rest of my messages here are kind of set in the same structure. So I'm going to introduce this a little bit, and then we'll go on through the rest of them. So if you're a VP or a director and you're trying to talk to a manager about how service is, there are 3 groups that we're going to talk about as we go through these sets of messages. When we are going to deliver service to other IT departments, what kinds of ways can we deliver service to other IT departments? What kind of service can we deliver to our employees? So the people that report to the person that we're communicating with. In this case, the director is talking to the manager, is coaching the manager on how to serve the employees that report to that manager. And then lastly, the director is coaching the manager on how to serve the business. When I refer to the business, I'm referring to the people who seek out support from your team. They could be internal employees. They could be external customers. They could be a combination, but I'm going to refer to them as the business. Okay, so these are the people that are coming to you for support. Excuse me. So let's start with serving other IT departments. So director says to manager, so manager, we want to deliver customer service holistically, recognizing that everyone is our customer. So how do you think we could serve other IT departments? What do you think we could do? Is there some way that we could do something more to collaborate more with other departments? And maybe you pick a particular department that you're going to talk about. And who knows who it is? Network engineering, it could be information security, pick one. How could we deliver better service to them maybe in how we escalate tickets or how we do our documentation? What can we do to serve them? We are serving them. It's not about them serving us. We are serving them. So the whole point as I talk through this servicing other departments, one of the messages at each level, I'll mention it now and then just keep this in mind as we talk about this. Servicing other departments and creating that relationship with them as them being our customers gets you money in your relationship bank account. There is no doubt that there are times when these other departments, we need them to look at us as their customer. Oh, trust me, I get that. I totally get that. I live it just like all of you live it. Ladies and gentlemen, I live every day in the same world you live in. I am a practitioner. I do this. These people are we are their customers, really. I know that. However, when we want them to serve us, that bank account needs to be full so that we can then have that relationship that says, you know what, I need your help. I've got a challenge and I've got this situation. How can you help me? They're going to be much more willing to work with you if we've laid the path, laid the road ahead of time of all the things we've done to build that relationship and make those connections and really work better with them. I've lived it. I've had the success with it. I'm encouraging you to consider that in your world. And that's what this customer service message is about. In all the times I'm going to talk about servicing other departments, is reaching into those other departments and saying, how can we serve you better? Servicing our employees. This is that whole engagement piece at all levels. How can we show our employees they are our customers? So the director says to the manager, so manager, how do you serve your employees? What do you do so that you have your employees feel like they are served as customers? Now, you don't want the manager to say back to you, well, I give them a paycheck every 2 weeks. Okay, not quite the answer we're going for. We want to kind of have something else, right? So what we want to say is something along the lines of get the manager to say things like, what kind of tools do they need? Oh, manager, do you need tools? Okay, so I as the director need to help you budget-wise, finding other ways to get them access to tools. What do we need to do? Manager, is there any opportunity to discuss career development with your team members? How do we create that environment where the team members are more comfortable talking about career development and not feeling like when they talk about career development you're trying to move them out of the department? Some cultures are like that, so you want to make sure that people are comfortable with that. Are there rewards and recognition? Those kinds of things. So you see how this conversation works? Is all this making sense? Are you all shaking your heads up and down? Good. Okay. Servicing the business. Does the manager do things with key contacts in the business? Whether it's top accounts, whether it's managers in the divisions or the departments or the organization, so that the business knows that you, Mr. Manager, Ms. Manager, know that the business is way more important than we are. We believe that the business is the most important thing ever, because without the business, we don't have a paycheck. Does the business know that? Are we doing anything so the business knows that? This is a great way for that manager in their role to find some ways to do that. Is all this starting to come together? Do you understand how the customer service message at this manager level kind of works? Okay, moving on. Now the manager is going to talk to the supervisor. I'm also going to talk about how the manager talks to the lead, and it's very similar but a little bit different. So the manager talks to the supervisor, again, same context. How do we handle complaints from other IT departments? Mr. Supervisor, Ms. Supervisor. When those other departments come to us and they complain about something we've done, what do? Do we treat it as though a customer has made a complaint into our department? It's a great opportunity. Treat those departments like customers. Do we look for ways to take work off of other departments' hands? Work. I'm not talking about junk work. I'm talking about work. If we have a complaint for another department, do we look for a way to offer the benefit to that other department of making the change? Now, we know there's a benefit to us, and we know there's a benefit to the actual end customer, but other people are humans. That other IT department, they're more focused to the benefit to them. I'm not slamming them. I'm talking about them being normal human beings. That's where their focus is. So if we want to have something change, we have to talk to them in their world. What benefits them by having us take work, having us have them do something differently? Consider that. Remember, they're customers. Servicing our employees. Supervisor, are you meeting with people one-on-one every month? Are you engaging with our employees? What are you doing to service our employees? How about coaching? Supervisor, do you know how to coach? How about if I work with you, supervisor, and help you learn more how to coach? I just attended this really great seminar that showed me how to coach. Can I share some of those ideas with you and help you be a better coach? Would you like to do that? Do we look for opportunities to work with everyone? Is everyone on our team feeling supported, encouraged, built up? And supervisor, are you available when people need you? Ladies and gentlemen, what we do in our contact centers, in our service desks, all of this is about being available, right? Isn't that one of the most important things we measure? We as leaders need to be available when people need us. The business, are we nurturing those relationships, even at the supervisor level, with key business contacts in critical departments, so that when there's an inbound escalation to that supervisor, they can get to somebody to help support that business? See how that triangle works? This is how we service the business. The technical lead or a top-end senior technical person, these are all very similar. Taking work off of hands from people in other departments. Proactively providing improvement ideas. Asking for better ways to serve people. There's a lot of good stuff in here. Servicing our employees. If you're a lead or if you're a senior technical person on the team, are you a relief pitcher? Do you watch what's going on the floor, and if you see somebody struggling, do you proactively reach out to that employee and say, hey, do you want me to take that call off your hands? Not in a way that says that person doesn't know what they're doing, but to help them. Do you sit side by side with them and walk to help, double jack with them is what I'm used to calling it, or tandeming with them to help them through the process? Again, being available when they need. Looking for new ways to solve problems. Providing training ideas to the business. Do they want to know how to do it themselves? Do they want to know how to make it so it never happens again? These are great things for leads to do. And then taking it down to the team. How do we want the analysts to serve? Yes, the analysts serve other IT departments. Do they think about that? And these are the messages they want them to have. Hopefully all of this is coming together for you and all of this is making sense. Do our team members help our other employees? Do we have new hire buddies? Somebody that our team members, our new hires can go to that can say things like, okay, why is it that there's only certain kinds of pictures on the walls? Why is it that everybody seems to come in through a particular door? These are the unwritten rules of working in a company. We all have them. New hire buddies are great for that kind of stuff, as well as the standard stuff. Let me help you get your badge. Let me help you find the bathroom. Let me help you find the place to park. Let me show you the break room, all these kinds of things. Helping our employees look for new ways to solve problems. Encourage them to be part of innovation. And then reward it. How great is that? Setting an example of outstanding customer service for the business, you be the measure of success. You be the place that the rest of the company comes to and says, you want to see excellent customer service? Go look at the service desk. Those are the people that really know how to serve. So as we wind this up, let's take a look at something I found on the internet which really helps you to understand the idea of what coaching is. And it's this idea of soda. Can someone click for me, please? Next slide. Hey, Roy, are we seeing the next slide? I'm not.
It's coming. I hit to deliver great coaching, Mary.
Okay. So go ahead and hit the next slide, please. So the great way to do that is this wonderful thing that I found on the internet called soda. And one more time, Roy. Barbara Burke has this article that she wrote in 2010. Hey, customer service is forever, right? But it's 6 great secrets for better customer service coaching. Slide, please. So SOTA stands for, the S is for stop before speaking. So one of the things we tend to do when we're coaching is it's something that we've observed going on the floor, and we want to see what's happening. So observe, that's the O. Observe the situation and be objective. Before you instantly assume what's going on, let's see what's happening and get the right kind of context. The D is for decide what's really going on and determine a good approach. So you're observing, you're determining what's really the issue, and then when you're talking with your employee, ask, don't tell. When I gave all those examples as we've talked today about coaching, you've heard me ask questions. So tell me, do you think you could do this? Would you give this a try? Have you ever thought about, as much as humanly possible, I know it takes practice, but phrase your encouragements in the form of a question. Be Alex Trebek. Put it in the form of a question, and that will help put it in a way that makes it more comfortable and more encouraging for the person you're talking to. And when you're talking through a situation, when you get to that finish, make that ratio 2-to-1. And the 2-to-1 ratio is to finish with 2 things that they did great. Let them be able to walk away going, there were 2 things in that situation that worked out okay. Now, I know there's some of you going, really? I've seen situations where it is not possible that there was anything that guy did in that situation that was correct. Okay, come on. You got to dig for it sometimes. Okay, he answered the phone. Hooray! And he said the greeting correctly. Woohoo! Okay, you got 2. Congratulations. Now, move on from there. I mean, seriously, you got to come up with something to give him the realization that you're really looking for things that he did okay. Now let's find that one thing where we need to kind of work on and make it better. Okay? And that's the opportunity. Slide, please. Coaching is about caring. Are we there? Are we there, Roy?
We are.
Next slide. Caring is about serving. Slide. So I commission you all to go forth and serve your people by coaching them, caring for them, and serving them. So now, slide please, I wish you all a very happy Customer Service Week, and I ask you, how can I serve you? So Roy, do we have questions that I can help serve this team that has joined us today?
We do indeed. Thank you so much, Mary. That was great. And the first question comes from Bob, and he asks, how much time do you need to invest as a coach? What is long-term? Is 1 year a required commitment to each team member? When should you move your players, avoiding developing a blind spot?
Okay, so when you're dealing with coaching an issue, okay, so pick a topic. You're having difficulty with somebody who is not documenting. You're working through the documenting of their work in the ticket tracking system. So we're going to coach to that. Classically, I would tell you, coach, 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 counsel, counsel. Okay, so that's 5. That's fairly generous. Coach, 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 counsel, counsel, go to write-up. Now, what's the space in those 3 coaching sessions? You know, it just depends on what it is you're coaching and how you're creating in those coaching sessions an action plan. So when you sit down with them the first time to coach them, what is it that you all decided was the strategy for him to improve on that documentation process? What's he going to do? Is he going to sit with somebody and have them show him how they document while they're on a call? Are you going to spend 2 weeks monitoring his tickets and giving him additional feedback before you have another coaching, quote-unquote, session? You know, it just depends on how you put together a plan. I absolutely believe that coaching sessions have plans. Y'all are going to agree on how you're going to get some progress made, because that's the thing where you're asking the question. So do you think, my imaginary person in my world is Bill Robinson. There's nobody on my team named Bill Robinson, so he's the person that I always talk about. So Bill Robinson, do you think if we do these couple things to kind of help with this issue, do you think you'll be able to make some progress? Oh, yes, Mary, I think we will. Great. So we've agreed that we're going to do these things, and then let's talk again. So the next time you talk, it is a coaching, because you've got some examples of some situation or whatever, and say, hey, how did this work? But, you know, Bob, I really believe it's coach, coach, coach. Give it 3 shots. And then you need to get serious about it, because depending upon the experience of the people on your team, in my situation, I've got people who have experience before they come to work for me because of the environment I'm in. It kind of demands that. I'm not going to coach you more than a couple of times on something before I'm expecting you to really be able to do it. And so if you're hiring people that are brand new to the industry, you may want to give them more time. Does that make sense?
Great. Thanks, Mary.
You bet.
And Bob has a comment as well. He says, 2-to-1 is not the modern-day approach. You conduct separate sessions, keep the positive all about the positives, and the correction improvement in another session. I think that's fairly
Say that one more time.
It says 2-to-1 is not the modern-day approach. You conduct separate sessions, keep the positive all about the positives, and the correction or improvement in another session.
I think that that's probably the modern day approach. I think that could be generational. So I think that's what he's meaning by modern day approach. It depends upon who you're working with. There are different behavior styles as well as generational norms where some prefer no mixture of positive feedback with constructive criticism. What I'm suggesting in a coaching session is that people have the opportunity to identify stuff that went okay.
Mm-hmm.
People have the opportunity to say, you know, there's something good in this. Self-identify from a coaching perspective, as opposed to performance feedback, right? So, you know, there's formal performance feedback. Coaching is more casual. In fact, you don't necessarily document coaching. Oh, you absolutely document counseling. You don't necessarily document coaching. You may document that you coached them, but you don't have like an email back to the person, here's what we talked about, you promised this, I said that. You know, you could, depending upon where you are in the coaching session or how serious it was. But if it's that serious, you're probably not coaching. You probably moved to counseling. So I hear what you're saying, and I think that that's something to consider. It depends on the person you're working with.
Thanks, Mary. And just kind of as a follow-on from that, does a coach have to be a lead or manager?
No, great point. You can do peer coaches. You absolutely can do peer coaches. You can do people who are coaches from another department. Sometimes you need to do that. It depends upon what it is you're coaching and what skill level they're at, what the relationship is. Sometimes, you know how I talked about where you're at a point where you really can't coach this person anymore? You may need to bring somebody in from another connection. You may have a desktop guy who's going to coach a team member. It just depends on how you're going to do the coaching. There's lots of different ways to do it.
Great point. Great point. Thank you so much for all the great answers, and Bob says thank you for answering his question and responding to his comment. You should have a pop-up on your screen with the evaluation for today's webinar. We really appreciate it when you take the time to fill those out. It gives us useful information so we can improve future webinars. And just remember that you can download the slides using the additional resources button at the bottom of your screen. You want to review Mary's excellent presentation today. Thank you again so much, Mary, for being with us and delivering quality information.
My pleasure.
Being part of our Customer Service Week webinar series. And in our next webinar, we've got another familiar face to HDI members, we hope, Kay Robertson. We'll be talking about desktop support, improving the face of IT, and that is a V-Chapter meeting taking place on October 20th. That is open to HDI members only. If you're not an HDI member, it would be great for you to join. We'd love to have you join the organization. Visit thinkhdi.com and check out the membership. On behalf of our speaker today, Mary Cruse, happy Customer Service Week. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your interest. And have a great day and a great week. Thank you.
Thanks.